Hello and welcome back. Today we are looking at Cernos Prime. I know, it is not the best bow. It doesn't really hold a candle to the likes of Dread or Ratka Cernos or even Paris Prime for those that are more into the, well, non-shotgun bows. But it still is very useful, and at close range it does hit like a truck. So I'm hoping I can possibly sway a few people on this. Now, there is a massive controversy on this weapon as to how multi-shot actually works. Bit weird, to be perfectly honest. And after much playtesting and just generally screwing around with the weapon, the more arrows doesn't actually decrease the damage. From one of the theories I've heard is the more arrows you have, the damage is split between the arrows. Well, that doesn't actually seem to be the case. The damage is split between the original 3 arrows. For those that don't know, Cernos Prime, when you fire it, it fires 3 arrows out in an arc. With multi-shot, this increases it up to split chamber, I might say. This increases it up to 5 arrows, putting 2 arrows in between the central and the outside arrows. Apparently that would decrease the damage. It honestly doesn't seem to, like, at all. If anything, I'd say it just ups it, to be perfectly honest. But with all that said and done, the reason a lot of people say it cannot compete with the likes of Dread is, one, Dread has higher slash, higher crit, and higher status. Why it can't compete with Paris, higher crit, higher status, and puncture. Why it can't compete with Ratka Cernos, despite the fact that they are both impact based, they have the same crit status and pretty much the exact same stats overall. Cernos Prime sways a little bit higher on the damage front, for etc., but does fall a bit short on one, fire rate, flight speed, status chance, etc. But in all, they are quite similar. But why does Cernos Prime fall short below Ratka Cernos? And that's purely because Ratka Cernos is near enough a machine gun bow. It's got an insanely high fire rate, charge rate, reload rate, the lot. It just fires really quick, and the overall DPS of that weapon outdoes the Cernos Prime. But that does not mean the Cernos Prime isn't any good. It does hit very hard, particularly if you can get a Riven mod for it, and it's one of the few Rivens, I would say, on a bow that you actually do want to go for critical chance and critical damage. If you can get that to over 100%, that means every arrow at a full charge will crit. Then adding in the crit multipliers you can have with it, obviously using point strike, vital sense, etc., plus a Riven mod, it will hit very hard. Now, I won't lie, I love using this weapon on an abating link trinity. Get your power strength to over 240%, I believe. You completely nullify their armor, and you can even see here, these are level 100, and they're just, yep, bye, catch you later, sit back down, have a good time. However, again, if I'm not using a baiting link on them, you can see here I'm not really doing much damage, but the moment I get close, the pure damage of this weapon at close range on unarmored targets, it's just brute force. That's all it is. It's basically a shotgun in a bow, and from my experience, bows are the hardest hitting single target weapon in the game, depending on what bow you're using. Now, the build I'm using is pretty basic: Serration, split chamber, point strike, my Riven mod with both critical chance and critical damage, as I've already stated, Vile Acceleration, Stormbringer, Vital Sense, and Infected Clip. Stormbringer Infected Clip will bring in that corrosive, which is generally helpful. Now, if you don't have a Riven mod, just to up the overall damage per second, I would put primed fast hands in. So primed fast hands increases the reload, Vile Acceleration increases the charge rate. Together you should be able to get a lot of arrows off fairly quickly, and it will take you through the star chart as well as sortie. and it can do some pretty impressive damage, especially at close range or even on an abating trin. Anyway, that's me. Thank you very much for watching, and I'll see you pretty soon. Ta-ra!